For our COBT listeners and viewers, it's Maynard with something really special. We've never tried it before. It's an experiment, but we want to tell you about an event that's coming up. It's Houston Energy and Climate Startup Week. It's September 9th through 13th. It's really the whole city and some leading organizations in the city coming together to talk about energy, climate, technology, investment, the future of energy, the future of Houston and energy. So it's a big deal. And we've got 4 of the leading people and organizations here with us today to talk a little bit about it, give you a sense of it, let you know what's happening so that you can plan or find a way to get involved. So let me do a quick introduction. Timmeko Moore Love, she's with Greentown Labs. Everybody knows Greentown is a leading entity in Houston and in Boston when it comes to startups and incubating technology and venture capital and all that sort of thing. Jane Stricker is with the Houston Energy Transition Initiative, part of the Greater Houston Partnership. That's been going on. It's been a multi-year effort to think about the future of Houston in the context of the future of energy. And so we're super excited to have Jane as well. Dale Winger is here. He leads Halliburton Labs, which is a really fascinating initiative that Halliburton has taken over the last 4+ years to bring the innovation and knowledge of classic energy to the exciting new world of changing energy. And then Brad Burke is here. He's the director of the Rice Energy Alliance. So when I think about Houston and innovation and some of the earliest pioneers of showing us all new and innovative companies and ideas, Brad has led that at the Rice Energy Alliance. And he's also now in charge of programming at the IA. And so right here, there's some others. We don't have everybody who's involved, but I think between the 4 of you, we've got pretty much this whole thing covered. So, thanks everybody. Welcome everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks. So we want to just, let's maybe start with the idea. A good friend of ours couldn't be here today, Scott Gale. Scott was one of the original kind of founding leaders at Hal Labs and just a passionate, super fantastic guy. And I think we've got to thank Scott, but he started stirring this pot to get everybody together and start making it a big condensed week. So maybe Dale, I might just start with you. Tell us a little bit of the story of what was the vision and how is it coming together?
Yeah, thank you, Maynard. It's exciting to be here, and we're looking forward to working with everybody on putting on a great week of events focused on energy and innovation and entrepreneurship. Yes, there's a number of organizations that are contributing to innovation and entrepreneurship across the city. Many host great events that are attended by those across the city, but also bringing folks from out of town. And we all saw that by working together and coordinating calendars, that there was an opportunity to really create some synergy and put together a menu of options that folks could participate in. And so it's really a community-led effort where individual organizations have the ability to host events that are focused on energy innovation. And Houston's playing an increasingly important role. And so, as you noted, Scott really, had a lot of the inspiration and creativity that helped bring Halliburton Labs to life within Halliburton 4 years ago, and has also played with his enthusiasm and his network, played a very important role helping connect pieces of these various organizations to help coordinate these events.
Yeah, no, Jane, I was thinking this is really where you spend so much of your world is about thinking about all the pieces within Houston and how they come together. What would you share about the event?
Yeah, I'd say
the events that are part of an event.
No, it's fantastic. There are so many parts to this ecosystem. We spend a lot of time at the partnership trying to identify and track the changes to the energy and climate tech ecosystem. There's always new startups, new organizations, new venture coming in, new everything all the time. And so, for us being able to connect those dots and have a week like this where we can showcase maybe not everything, but a fair amount of what's happening here. I think there's a lot of misperception outside the Houston market on how much is really going on here. And so being able to have some of our big scale-up founders, as well as our incubators and accelerators, Greentown Labs and Rice Alliance and Halliburton Labs and Activate and so many other pieces that are starting to come into the Houston market to showcase what Houston really has to offer, not only investors, but founders and corporates and anybody who's looking to better understand what this energy future is going to look like.
And it also just seems like Houston, like relative to any other place in the world, you could just, if I could stick my hand out the window and grab 10 people at random, the probability that someone is a talented, technical, energy-loving, curious person is just really high.
Yeah, for sure.
I was thinking right here we've got, so Timmeko, Greentown Labs, I think of it as, incubation, startup companies. You could graduate, you could move to the Ion, which the companies start getting a little bigger. You could get, Jane, you've got all the companies, plus the finance people, plus, and obviously Halliburton is a leading classic company. So we've got kind of all the layers of the cake here, I guess is what I'm thinking of myself. Timmeko, jump in, talk to us about what's happening at Greentown Labs, why you guys, this is obviously something right up your alley, but what's your vantage point on this whole thing?
Absolutely. So as the early stage player in all of this, we're laser focused on early stage entrepreneurs. So for us, that's pre-seed through Series A, and a lot of times making connections with the university. So IP that's licensed, that is early in its technology development. We're connecting those founders with resources, supporting them with their technology development. So we want to be out there telling our story in terms of what we're doing. To Jane's point, it's undertold in terms of getting that recognition, but we know that when we are more visible, that's going to attract more venture dollars and more activity to the area. And so really doing what we do in a broader way, opening that up to the community and bringing the community in, connecting with the university. So it's a virtuous cycle in terms of new and early technology development.
Timmeko, I was thinking, how long Greentown Labs, has that been 5-6 years?
3 years now.
Oh, 3 years. It seems like
COVID
longer.
years.
Yeah, only 3 years.
Yeah, and really kind of growing up within the district around the same time. So all of this activity really happening around the same time. I think the work that HETI did in terms of energy transition really told a common story and laid a foundation for all of us to build.
And Brad, we got to rope you in. I mentioned it, the Rice Energy Alliance, that's 20 plus years old, right?
Well,
not to make you feel like you're doing this for long, but that's been around for a while.
Yeah, sure. The Rice Alliance was founded in 2000, so this will be our 24th year. But for the energy event that we do, this is the 21st year of doing this energy event.
Okay.
And it brings...
And it's happening the same week?
Same week, so it's happening on Thursday of this week. And the short version is we'll have about 100 early stage energy tech companies. We'll have a couple hundred investors here, and then we'll have 300 or 400 other members of the community that come together for a one-day event. And so if I look over the past 20-something years, we've had over 3,000 companies come through a similar kind of program as this, and they've raised over $25 billion in funding, and we have lots of exits that have taken place. So it has been a way to allow Houston energy investors to get a look at some of the best energy tech companies from around the world, not just from Houston. But we also showcase Houston startups to investors who come from all over the world. So it's helped to connect companies and investors together over 21 years.
So Dale, when you guys were thinking about the planning collectively of kind of concentrating in 1 week a lot of Houston energy tech firepower, were there other models you looked to, or were there because there's a lot of coordination going on here, and I think we were also just chit-chatting before we turned on the camera that there are a lot of events, and so people you have to create a menu that draws everybody in an otherwise busy world.
Yeah, I think we all agree Houston is at its best when it's being Houston. And so we have a unique sort of culture and ecosystem here, and we need to draw upon the strengths, Houston's unique strengths, as we're building that ecosystem. So I wouldn't say that, you know, we've tried to model this after someone else's event. There are certainly Energy and Climate Week analogs that happen in other cities that attract, top tier entrepreneurs and investors from around the world. And of course, Houston has its own events that focus on, other things that bring in people from, energy people from around the world. And so we thought, why don't we sort of combine those concepts? And the calendar is, full. There's a, New York Climate Week that happens later in the month. And so as we were comparing notes on the type of audience that we wanted to have, whether it was corporates or entrepreneurs or investors, we kind of took a look at, what were some of the main stops, and really thought that by the week that we selected would be a week where we could get a lot of folks to come together and give them a lot of bang for the buck in terms of a series of events that would be relevant.
And Hal Labs has its own event going on. You want to talk a little bit about what you'll be doing that week?
Yes, on Friday, September the 13th, we will host the 10th edition of Halliburton Labs Finalist Pitch Day. It will be at the Ion, starting out at 8:30 in the morning. We're excited that we've got a keynote discussion featuring Rice University President Reggie DeRoche and Tulane University professor and acclaimed author Walter Isaacson, bringing two really great perspectives on innovation, of course.
And this is open to the public?
This is. So people can register at halliburtonlabs.com. We invite them to come. There will be coffee and networking before the event starts. There will be lunch provided afterwards. And from the keynote to the lunch, there's going to be approximately 8 to 9 or 10 pitches from finalist companies. We've got a global applicant pool. We'll announce who those finalist companies are next week, but they're all innovating kind of for the future of energy. So working on technologies that help make energy more affordable, more reliable, more sustainable.
You start ending up, there's a lot of companies and there's going to be a lot of people in town. Jane, tell us about some of the other events this year, the perspective on it, and how many people all this stuff might bring.
I think it's been great. I mean, the community has really come together and created events. I mean, in addition, we started out with this core group of events because these are events that we do every year, and they're great events and a great opportunity to showcase them in one week. But we said, okay, what else can we put in that week? And so Monday, we're starting with a kickoff event at the Ion and a block party to really get things started. So
That's Monday
night. We've got some of our, some of Houston's best founders of our scale-ups that are going to talk about their journey as entrepreneurs and some of the challenges and opportunities that they experienced. On Tuesday, we have Activate, Meet the Cohort. So Activate is NSF-funded program, very, very early stage. I tend to think of them as sort of pre-Greentown Labs. They close that gap.
We should have had them here, then we could have,
Greentown.
Next time.
So they have expanded to Houston. They'll be launching their Houston cohort of fellows at the week on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we've got Timmeko's event at Greentown Labs, which is going to be really fantastic. And then Thursday, we've got the Rice Alliance event. And then that afternoon, after that ends, Energy Transition Ventures is hosting a phenomenal event, a birthday party to celebrate ARPA-E's 15th anniversary.
Awesome.
Since their original creation. And so ARPA-E Director Evelyn Wang will be here in town. A great opportunity to celebrate sort of how the DOE has supported technology development and innovation for 15 years. And really celebrate the innovation that happens as a result. Lots and lots of great companies based here in Houston and attending these events that all sort of got some level of support from ARPA-E at some point in time. So a really great opportunity for us to celebrate them as well. And then Friday, Halliburton Labs, and also the Friday evening, we cap off the week with the Greentown Labs Gala.
Wow. Tell us about the Gala. That's the first time we've used the G word here. We've got a Gala. We've got to talk about that.
And it really is. It's a Climate Impact Awards dinner, so putting the focus again on our community members, recognizing the accomplishments they've made, whether that's technology development or market deployment. Really, what are those stories? Getting out there and really celebrating them. And so that will be a way to connect with the donor community, with our sponsors and corporate partners. We are a nonprofit, so we exist with the support of those partners. And they are compelled by getting tangible connections to our companies. Wow. So that's going to be 7 o'clock on Friday.
And that's open to the public?
That is open to the public. There's a cost to attend, and
that's not free. I didn't say it's free.
Goes to support our nonprofit mission. But at Post Houston, which is a great space, just to see dazzling downtown Houston.
This is the old post office.
That's right.
That's
right.
So it's really cool.
Totally been built out and very much true to sustainability principles that we practice and believe. So great synergistic space, but bringing the community and bringing investors, corporate partners, as well as celebrating our startups there. And again, it's a fundraiser activity.
And Jane, maybe I could just ask you, because we've got, like the pre-seed, seed, startups, the part of Houston, the classic companies, the big companies, what will their role or connectivity be to this, other than they'll be around and attending?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, we've got a really great group of corporate venture capital folks here from our corporates. And so as well as R&D. And so I think it comes in two places. We get a lot of interest and connectivity from the folks that work in the corporate venture arms of our big companies, but also from the R&D and technology development arm of these companies that really want to see what's out there, what's coming together, what haven't they thought of yet, and how do we get better connected to the innovation. And innovation in thinking, in addition to just understanding the technology that's coming. I think all of these corporates understand that if we're going to solve this challenge, we have to have more innovative thinking in the way we approach the problems, right? And how do we think differently and bring in that creative, innovative thinking as we're trying to solve for more energy and less emissions at the same time.
So if I could add to that, Brad, which is one tactical, tangible thing we do, is it is a private function, but for all the corporates who have both either technology scouts or corporate venture groups, or for institutional investors, we do a private investor speed networking on Wednesday afternoon. So right now we have about 75 tables that are set up. Each corporate or investor has a table, and they get to pick 10 companies to meet with for 10 minutes each. What that means is over 2 hours that we create about 750 speed dates, speed networking meetings. And what the beauty of that is they get to select, the corporates, investors get to select who they want to talk to. And then oftentimes this is just the first of many meetings that they have. And eventually they may invest in the company, or they may become a customer of that company, or have a strategic partnership. And so we've structured it to maximize the number of interactions through a very structured kind of 2.5 hour format on Wednesday afternoon as part of this.
Dovetailing there too. So we also have a Wednesday event at Greentown Labs, and we also lined up our industry leadership council to occur that day. And so we have over 80 corporate partners. They're coming into town to connect with our companies. Again, the daytime event will focus on their storytelling, really kind of how they've navigated these technology development and milestones. But now, after that event, they're going to have an opportunity to connect with those corporate partners. So whether it's the venture arms or R&D centers, we're bringing that all on Wednesday as well.
Now, and your corporate partners, that's a pretty expansive.
Yes.
Do you mind can you share some of those
so
names?
So myriad industries, and certainly here in the energy capital, many players. It really started with kind of those early players like Chevron, like Shell, that have really grown with us, but has expanded. So even seeing how players like AWS are part of it and their new clean energy accelerator, and also expanding geographically. So Ecopetrol and partners in Latin America as well as Europe. So it's really that. And
there's a lot of non-energy type companies, really, industrial players and things like that.
That's right. So really from the Schneider Electrics and Saint-Gobain. So really diversified, true to climate tech the way we see it. It's definitely energy, but it's ag tech, it's building and materials, so very diversified.
Maybe just a quick question for you, Timmeko, while we're here. How many companies do you have now down at Greentown Lab? Like, what is your world like now, this size-wise?
Yeah, so we're 80 member companies. 80 member
So
companies.
80 startups.
80 startups.
Wow.
Yes, and growing.
Wow.
And built for room to grow. And it's definitely a pipeline.
So you can hold more or do more. You're not like,
Yes.
there's
And so
no waiting list that you could take more.
That's right. And so if you think about a climate tech incubator, the average life is 3 years. So we're constantly feeding that through, but we can always bring on more.
Wow. Brad, I mentioned you've been doing programming down at the ION. And tell us what's happening. Just give us an ION update while we have you. It's always got great things going on, both of you right there together. But what's on the menu at the ION in the weeks to come? Or just what's going on?
Yeah, well, it's great. You know, we have, for software startups, we've added a monthly software day where startups have a chance to meet with investors and get mentoring and make connections to the community. But energy is our primary focus. And so we're very focused, as you heard, there are events at the ION on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and a Thursday evening and Friday. So it's a busy week for us around energy. And what this really means is one reason for doing this is that we said, look, if there's in 1 week that an investor from New York or Boston or the Bay Area should come to Houston, it should be this week because it has the opportunity to meet all parts of the ecosystem, the corporates, the startups, the investors. And so we wanted to create this magnet, this critical mass of activity and community. And so we really have seen that bear out. So we're seeing lots of interest from around the U.S. and outside the U.S. to come here in Houston at this time.
So we have this whole series of events. I think, so we'll try to communicate to people like how, we'll obviously attach links to Greentown Labs and HETI and ION and HAL Labs, but also like what's the agenda and all this stuff, but what's the quick way for somebody to get the whole story and the whole lineup?
Yeah, Houston Energy and Climate Startup Week website.
Okay. So the event has...
So we have a website.
So I would be that guy, like, can I click on one thing?
Yes,
please.
you can click on one thing and it will lead you
Okay.
to all the other things. Because the other thing I would just add is, you know, we've talked a lot about all the great planned events to showcase what's happening. There's a lot of fantastic conversations, receptions. I mean, it's sort of like Sarah Week with a very specific startup focus, but the side events, the networking, the dinners, so many different ways to connect in and build relationships in true Houston fashion, where, you know, we all see an opportunity to build something new and get something done, and people are answering the call.
So what we thought might happen is really happening. That almost every night there's multiple dinners or receptions that people can go to by people who just said, hey, I'm gonna host something. And we're like, great. The more people who decide they want to host things during that week is terrific. And we're seeing a lot of things. Many are on the calendar, but not everybody wanted to put their events, their dinner or their reception on the calendar.
See, now you're really teasing the crowd. There's like these secret things. I instantly like, what? What's he talking about?
Word of mouth.
But there's a tremendous amount of going on.
But I probably, it did sound, it's so positive and expansive, it's a little intimidating, like what's going on. But you'll either be at Greentown Labs or you'll be at the ION, and your event is at the ION. Correct. So it's relatively...
well, there's also, so Digital Wildcatters is doing their Energy Tech Night at the Heights Theater on Wednesday night. So that one is going on. So we've got some things. I think the Greater Houston Partnership is going to host an event related to hydrogen. There are still things being added to the calendar. So the calendar will continue to get updated, but the vast majority, the epicenter will certainly be at the ION, but there are going to be events at all sorts of places. And I know you had to move the Rice Alliance event to the JW.
We are. Our event is so big now, the 21st year. We're just down the road, up the light rail, up Main Street, about a half mile from that. But the reception for that will be at the ION. And again, it's Houston Energy and Climate Startup Week website.
Okay, that's good. We can follow that. This was awesome, guys. We could keep going, but I think we've got the basic message. We really just wanted to let all of you know about this so you could get it on your radar and you still have a chance to plan and come and be a part of it and ask any of these folks questions. Ask us. We'll do what we can to help. I have one closing question for you as we wrap up, Dale, because you guys have been doing, I'm thinking about if we were sitting here, 4+ years ago when Hal Labs was getting started, or 3-ish years ago when Greentown Labs was just coming to town. I can't use you, Brad, because I'd have to say 24 years ago, and then everything's different. I've got hair, and the whole thing's unrecognizable.
You haven't changed.
But kind of how this conversation's changed, and the different technologies we're talking about now that we were maybe not talking about 4 years ago, and how you referenced affordability and reliability, and how this conversation has changed, and Houston has, I would say, injected a dose of practicality to what maybe sometimes hadn't always been a practical conversation, and we got a lot of engineers who asked a lot of good questions and are pulling us in some good directions. But I was just curious, as we wrap up, what your perspective is on how things have changed over the last 3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah, we share that observation, Maynard, and I think there's still a lot of enthusiasm that there's big opportunities for innovation and startups in the energy system of the future. There is a healthy level of pragmatism that existing energy players can contribute to the dialogue and to the conversation. Energy systems are fairly complex. The scale is oftentimes much larger than what particularly even really bright technical founders have experience working with. And we've certainly found that creates opportunities for those that are working, in the energy system today, because there are a lot of, mechanical engineering opportunities and chemical engineering opportunities and, power electronics and control systems. And so a lot of the muscles that the energy system across Houston has built are going to be and are very relevant in the energy system of the future. But we also can't completely trade off cost and reliability, and we need to think through how these innovations will actually work at scale and be safe and be reliable and sort of meet the consumption profile that's demanded and the cost profile that's demanded by the consumer. And so we continue to see a lot of interest in the topic. If you go to someone that's operating in industry, if you've got something that can make that can bring them an economic advantage or a reliability advantage or a sustainability advantage, there's a lot of openness to that. But we also can't oversimplify sometimes the things in the value chain that need to be thought through and managed so that when we're making these changes, we're not making big trade-offs that we're not aware of and taking risks that we're not aware of.
The base here of the practical scale, in-depth engineering-based thinking is just going to bring a different flavor to the whole thing, which I think is great.
Yeah,
probably something only Houston can do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now I'm getting carried away, my pro-Houston commercial. But
I had an investor tell me, he said, look, other parts of the country are great places to start and launch the initial company. But if you want to grow and scale, Houston is the place to be because we have the ability to scale. We have the infrastructure and the ability to scale. And so I think that's
HETI theme, where innovation meets
well, that's
scale.
what Houston itself did. We just keep scaling. Here we go. Houston, we're scaling.
And why now? Because our companies are scaling. I think we are at that level of critical mass. And if we think about those Greentown alumni companies, the Fervos, the Semfitas, we
Syzygy.
Definitely, the Syzygies, exactly. We have that level of scale where maybe it's not realized exits, but large market cap companies, and they're paying it forward.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you all for what you're doing to make this September 9th to 13th a really special week. Thanks to all of you for listening. I hope you can all make it. And again, reach out to all of us and we'll share as much as we can. But this is going to be one heck of a week. So congrats on everything you guys are doing.
Thanks.
Thank you for your support,
Awesome.
Maynard.
Thanks, everybody.